Hello, viewers, and welcome to another episode of Reminiscences. Our guest today is Professor Ahmed Tijjani Suleiman, who is an emeritus professor of energy engineering. He was trained in Ahmed University, where he taught for a few years before moving to many places, including the University of Sokoto, where he rose to become the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration. And subsequently, he became the Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Technology, Yola. And for a brief period, also the acting Vice Chancellor of the University of Abuja. He has served in the public sector in his state, Jigawa as Commissioner, Higher Education, and Science and Technology. And he has been twice the president of the Solar Energy Society of Nigeria. I think we'll get the other details in the course of the interview. So, Prof, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let me start by asking you about the early days in Ringim, Jigawa State.
Well, the early days started when I was born. I can't remember when I was born, but I knew that it was...
Not 1945?
No, I said I can't remember at that 1945. I was just an infant.
Right.
I was born in 1945, September 28th. And I remained there for the normal 6-7 years before you are circumcised and then sent to Quranic school outside town. That is briefly. So I can say my earliest years in Ringim lasted between 1945 to 1950-51.
How did you find yourself in Barewa College? Well, I think it was called Government College.
Government College, Zaria.
Zaria.
Well, let me take off from where you left when you said my early years in Ringim. Like I said, the tradition then, most of our parents don't like Boko, don't like this modern education. They saw it as anti-Islam and so on and so forth. So generally, all my seniors in my house were always taken outside town for Quranic schooling when they reached the age that they could be taken to primary school.
So they were taken out to escape going to
primary school. And I was no exception. I was also taken.
To where?
Fortunately or unfortunately for us, for the intention, but fortunately for me, probably, I was taken not too far away from home. I was taken to Malama Taura, which is just about 13 kilometers or so. Unfortunately, before all these tricks, I may call it, to get me out of town so that I don't go to school, the headmaster, then we call him IC, officer in charge, had already enrolled me in, my name was already in the list of those who should join the primary school in the year 1952-53.
Right.
So I spent only 8 days in my escapism. The pressure was so much on my dad that they had to send my eldest brother to to go there and bring me back to Ringim.
Where was the pressure coming from?
The pressure was from the authorities. They were threatening that anybody that for that year, anybody who refuses or escapes getting his child that is being expected in the school will be taken to Kano to go and face the emir of Kano then and tell him why or why not. So, and my father was ready to do that.
To face the emir?
To face anybody.
Yeah.
Rather than allow me to go to primary school. But my mother had a second thought. She looked at all my seniors that were taken away and so on, hidden somewhere, not too far sometimes. And there was never any threat on my father to be taken somewhere. Then she said I should not be the one that will take him to that level.
That will lead to his being...
And she begged my dad to allow me follow the instructions of the local authorities that I should join the primary school. And that's how I found myself in January 1953 as a pupil in what we used to call junior primary school, Ringim then.
This is boarding then?
It's boarding.
Boarding, right. You didn't want to really go beyond the senior primary school yourself?
No, I didn't really. In fact, it's not the school that bothers me, it's the distance. I don't want, even going to Gwazo, I told you I had problems. So when the results came, the headmaster called me to say that he was going to congratulate me. I said, for what, sir? Say, you have been selected to go to Government College Zaria. I felt as if somebody had struck me. Say, Zaria is a long distance from here. He said, well, you are, and unfortunately, you are the only one from this school who is selected to go there. The other two that have passed are going to Kano Provincial Secondary School, which is now called Rimpa College.
So you went to Zaria?
In 1958,
yes.
When I went back to Ringim for the holidays, they said January I should report to Government College Zaria, which I did.
The family was comfortable. There was no difficulty.
No, I think they are getting used to my situation. So, and it also happens that I had a senior cousin who is married to somebody in Zaria at that time. So they thought, just like I was going to Malama Tara as a known person, when I go to Zaria and I was able to trace her abode, I will not be lonely.
Right.
There were also 6 of us from Kano province then.
The whole province?
The whole province, because it covers the whole of the northern Nigeria. So to have 6 from one province was not a small feat. So,
do you remember the others at that time?
Oh yes, obviously. Some of them are dead. The living ones now, we are 3 now out of those 6. The first to die is when Ibrahim Kazaure. Then Ibrahim Mukhtar. Soran Dinki died also later on, much later on, after graduating from US even. And then who has died. The ones that we are living now, only myself, Then there is Dr. Maitama Bichi, who was permanent secretary in Kano State here. And then there is Mustafa Umar, Soren Dinki.
Right.
So that's how we found ourselves in Zaria. And things went on normal. We are doing whatever we are doing. And things were happening. Somehow I was adjusting to say, this thing, if it is good, oh God, make me accept it properly. Before the WAEC, what they call an examination for going to higher school certificate, it's meant for the whole of West Africa also. And again, I was selected to take that exam for whatever reason, and I did.
How many of you from the school?
From Government College area, I think I was the only one man that was asked to take the exam. And I didn't disappoint them because by the time the whole thing came back, they said, I passed, and I passed very well.
Right.
Then the next thing is where to go. Because there are very few places where they are doing higher school certificate then. That was 1963. And they were to join them in 1964. Whereas my colleagues will be entering secondary school 5, while I will go there and join HSC, what we used to call lower 6 4. The story is that I was supposed to go to Lagos.
Right. Which is the big one.
And that is the biggest one.
Yes.
Because I have never bothered to find out where Lagos is. I know it's very far away. They said it is in the coast. It is all these things that so I said, what have I done? What have I done to deserve this catapulting? From here, you catapult me to there, and then from there, another. I said my interest then was either to go to, because they are starting NDA then, 1964. First set of cadets. My interest is either to go there or to go to another school that is in Zaria, School of Agriculture, because I came from a farming family and farming is in my blood. So these are the two areas.
Either soldier or farmer?
Yes, either soldier or a farmer.
Right.
But the school authorities in Zaria, then the principal, everybody said, no, I cannot do that to my school. So, luckily, again, railways are functioning properly. Right. So I was not going to be under the stress of road transportation. We had to go by rail. I ventured. I was alone this time from Barawa College. I don't know from other, maybe I will meet some others from northern Nigeria who can speak Hausa or whatever. But I took the chance and joined the train and found myself in Lagos somehow. And while in Lagos here, I discovered that there are some few others. There are two from Government College Kefi, you know, they are the twin colleges of northern Nigeria. Yes. Government College Zaria and Government College Kefi. Right. And then there are two from Katsina province. And two also from Borno province. In the long run day, I discovered that I was not lonely. I had people whom we can chat, who had common interests, common and so on and so forth. So I went on.
But how was the experience of being a Gambari in Lagos? Did you find it difficult to?
Well, the funny part of it is that it's a terrible experience because majority of those who are in our class, the lower six, there are two arms, lower six arts and lower six science. And I was in science. So you find that those who actually did their work in KC itself looked down upon all of us.
What of the big northerners in Lagos, the Metama Suleis who are in government? Were you able to meet them and associate?
Not as such, because, the King's College has a culture of its own. You are not allowed to be roaming about just like that. What you are there to do, you try and do it well.
Why did you decide to go to ABU for your university degree? Is it deliberate or is it just something that was only available to you?
It's not deliberately. In fact, it would have been one of the last options I have. Why? I was then beginning to enjoy change of location. Actually, since I did my secondary school in Zaria, I wasn't anticipating to come to Zaria again for my degree.
Yes.
The same thing with University of Lagos then. Since I did my higher school in Lagos, I didn't even bother to apply to University of Lagos. I applied to University of Ibadan. I applied to University of Nsukka then.
Interesting.
And since I was entitled to 3 options, to applications, I said, okay, instead of Lagos is out because I'm just finishing from Lagos. There were only the universities were only Lagos, Nsukka, Ibadan, ABU. That's all I think.
Yep. I think Jos and Kano have started.
No. Yeah. These ones are not our generations. So I said, okay, for the fun of it, I applied to University of Ibadan to do mathematics. Applied to University of Nigeria and Nsukka to do civil engineering. And then I applied to ABU to do...
ABU was last.
To do mechanical engineering. I didn't even know the various differences between all the engineering. So all I know that engineering needs physics and mathematics, which is where I get my pleasure. So, you all know the history of Nigeria. When we were finishing higher school in December 1965, January 1966, there was what?
There was commotion.
Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. The government was thrown out, and all sorts of atrocities happened, and so on and so forth. So the chances of going to Nsukka then became very, very slim because we normally entered the university then in September, October. So since we finished something by September 1966, things have changed completely in the country. So Nsukka no longer was an option. And the Northern States government then, because we are still under one government called Northern States, decided that, look, even my Ibadan is not an option.
So it was safer to move to Zaria.
So at that time, and since luckily for me also, because of the long period between end of the school year and beginning of the university year, I was posted to Bauchi to teach in what is then called Bauchi Teachers College. And I was there just a few days after I was there. They brought the corpse of Tafawa Balewa for burial.
And did you regret studying mechanical engineering because you say did you know whatever the difference between all those?
No, not at all actually, because once we finished with HSC, then the degree was a 3-year course. Then you find that the first year is for all the engineering students, whether you are doing electrical, mechanical, or civil, you do the same thing. Then in the second year, you do a lot with electrical and a lot with civil also. So virtually, it's only in the very final year that you specialize in certain areas that are called mechanical. And but by the time I started, I discovered that actually mechanical engineering is the only engineering.
How did you get a chance to go to PhD?
Oh, it's another story again. My whole life is that of story. My head of department was a Polish living in Britain. Professor Bernard, we call him.
Bernard.
So he wants me to go to Britain because he left his own country, Poland, and is now living in Britain. So he wanted me to go to Britain. And decided that they will apply for me and so on. Since by that time, anybody from ABU or any Nigerian universities has no problem with postgraduate studies in Britain, because those who are there before us have proven themselves beyond reasonable doubt that after all, they are the same people who are teaching us in Nigeria, so they cannot say they taught us the wrong thing. So, luckily, or as I used to say, luckily, there was one Egyptian professor of mechanical engineering who happens to be teaching in Scotland. He's Egyptian, all right, but he's teaching in Scotland. And he has been for so long in Scotland that he was entitled to sabbatical leave. And he came to Nigeria and came to ABU in particular, to our department. And by some coincidence, the same area that I was interested in pursuing my PhD is his area.
What area is this?
That is fluid mechanics.
Fluid? Fluid mechanics.
Fluid mechanics. So I found that the coincidence was too good for me to let go. I sat down with him, discussed my interests and so on and so forth. But he was a clever person. He knew the relationship between the administrators of the department and the university with religious bias. If I'm to follow him just like that, they would just say that it was religious dimension that was pushing me there, because he was a Muslim and so on and so forth. Forgetting that even though he was a Muslim, he was teaching in a country that has nothing to do with Islam. He asked me to write an application for the postgraduate studies in Scotland, which I did. And I was giving it to my heart, and he was giving it to his heart also. Then later on, I discovered the time I was getting something. I knew that my head of department would not approve of me to follow him for obvious reasons. So I didn't even want to get him involved. And without the head of departments, I cannot get any study fellowship or whatever. So I said, okay, the same professor, the Egyptian professor, asked me to make an application to one organization, technical, UK technical assistance, something in Britain, which I applied again. Eventually, both my admission and the technical assistance got receiving hands. I got the letter of admission first. And I didn't want to lose a year because this professor actually left 4 other PhD students of his, whom he was supervising, because he was going to be away for just about 1 year. And they have more than 1 year to finish. So I decided the best option is to come to my home base. I took time, took my letter of admission, and came to Kano. I went straight to the Ministry of Education. Said I wanted to see the PAMSEC. Everybody was looking at me. Oh, this small boy, what is he looking for? You can't see anybody but PAMSEC. And say, no, and only PAMSEC. Eventually, after something, I was ushered in. The late Emir of Kadore, the father of the present Emir of Kadore, he was then the PAMSEC education. So I sat down comfortably and told him all my stories, all my struggles with the American so-called agricultural engineer, with the vice chancellor, with the whatever. I said, then I told him that this is an option that came up of the situation, something. So he said, how are you sure that you will be comfortable? And I said, no, we have been with him for almost 8-9 months now. And we're in the same area. And I'm sure he will be my supervisor. And I don't anticipate any problem with his supervision. I said, fine. Then I said, but sir, no, I don't want to also dissociate myself from the ABU, because I'm now getting more interested in the academic area. I don't know whether if I get scholarship from Kano State government, I would be able to go back to ABU when I finish. Then he looked at me and laughed. He said, which ABU are you talking about? I said, ABU Zaria. I said, is it not ours? You know, it's ours. Do we have any other university other than ABU in the whole of northern Nigeria? So if you are going there, are you not being our representative there? Kano would be pleased to have you. I said, thank you, sir. So eventually, within 2 days, I was able to get my scholarship.
How was life in Scotland? It's a very cold country.
It was
for
cold.
someone coming from these parts.
It was.
How did you cope?
You can say, well, initially I wasn't coping very well. But eventually I discovered so many of the tricks. I have been forewarned, especially by my supervisor, who eventually became my supervisor. He told me how cold it was and so on and so forth. So I prepared myself by having kind of dressing. Like this kaftan, I can have 3 or 4 different sizes. And of course, to have an, what do you call it, sweater, under, and so on. Even trousers, sometimes I could put 2.
Were you with your family at this stage? Were you married?
No, I didn't have, I wasn't married. I was betrothed, but that's all. After the, what do you call it? I only have her picture in my pocket wherever I'm going.
So you knew eventually it's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time. So when I was in Scotland, all my effort is just to finish as quickly as I can and come back home.
So you didn't marry until your PhD?
Until after my PhD.
Tell me about your career. You moved to, of course, you were at ABU for a while, teaching, and then there was this move to Kano
School of
Technology, then later to Sokoto.
Energy Research Center.
By then, you seem to have shifted to
solar
energy engineering, solar.
Solar.
At what point did this solar thing came into your own career?
Well, it came as early as when I was an undergraduate in ABU, actually, because we had some lecturers from US and so on who are into this. And somehow I was interested, but in fact some of my colleagues did their final year projects in solar energy. I used to advise them.
In ABU?
In ABU.
Right.
But my own what do you call it, project was not on solar. But I sit down with them sometimes because I was interested, give them some ideas and so on and so forth. So I was comfortable, really. And fluid mechanics is really very fluidic. It's the right thing for all this kind of energy engineering aspects. So when I was in the final year of my PhD self, there was one conference about energy something which I became interested. And I discovered that even from my work, I can work out some 2 papers of publication. And the supervisor supported me in that. And I sent them and they were accepted. Of course, before the something, I was able to finish and leave. And when I came, I really wanted to go, but I couldn't get sponsorship from anybody in Nigeria to go to that. It was in Bulgaria. I think they were having the international conference on energy matters and so on. So I became interested. And when I was back in ABU, I found that I can now put a lot of energy into my interest of energy studies. And I got the opportunity. I was appointed as the postgraduate coordinator for the department, and which gave me the opportunity to discuss with all the students their interests and so on and so forth, and post them to their various what they call assistants, some of the lecturers that are interested in their areas of interest, and so on and so forth. So from then on, I became very comfortable with energy studies and solar energy in particular.
How did the invitation to Sokoto come about? How did you go there?
No, you see, when I was in ABU, there was an attempt to get me to Kano. I resisted. Then a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, Prof. I'm sure you know him. You interviewed him. Was cajoled to come and take over as the head of the School of Technology. While he was there, the civilian government of Abubakar Rimi came in. And they maneuvered somehow to say that his government is going to be that of intellectuals and so on. Because some of them actually met me in ABU that I should come and join, and said, no. I spent so much time and so much cold getting this PhD. Please allow me to make use of it.
In ABU?
In ABU. About 6 or so of us to trying to do how to translate some technical terminologies into Hausa and so on. He was the Hausa man. We have scientists and engineers and so on. So I just want to say hello to him. And when he saw me, he flared up. He said, "Thank God, I've gotten him."
You brought yourself?
I have gotten. He said, "I have gotten him." I said, "Who is him?" He said, "I was just looking at my problem. I had an instruction from federal government to set up an energy research center to be based here in the university. And I cannot find any person that I know who can do this job for me than you. You are the president of the Solar Energy Society.
But then you're already the president.
I was the president. And so on and so forth. I said, okay. And say, well, yeah. And say, but I have a problem. I say, what is your problem? Say, I have written back to ABU that I was going back after my sabbatical. Now to hear me jumping into somewhere, that will create some problem. I say, no problem is not surmountable. So I said, okay, fine. We discussed with him. He said, this is how I was going to come up and so on. I should send my full credentials and so on and so forth. I said, no, but you know, sir, I have never applied for any job. All my jobs, I always get them somehow. He said, this one also, you are getting it somehow. Because I'm not saying that you should apply. You have already been appointed. I said, hey, that's life. So I came back. Instead, well, my preparation for leaving School of Technology is still on. But then, where am I going? Not Zaria, but to Sokoto.
And this is a new center you set up now?
It's the center, I set it to myself. And thereafter, you said you left, what, 1984?
Right.
Which year? Which month?
84.
Which month?
Late.
Late? I was Deputy Vice Chancellor by then. Because in 1984, I became Deputy Vice Chancellor around September, October.
That is true. I was in ASU, so you know about it.
You are in ASU. Because I contested for the post of ASU president. And they said, if I am part of the problem, I cannot be part of the solution. That's what some of you, maybe you are those who campaigned about. But even then, I was beaten by only 1 vote.
Yeah.
And not only 1 vote, because all my colleagues in the associated faculty of science, thought that there was no contest between me and the others. They were so sure that I was going to win. So some of them didn't even bother to attend. So that's how it happens.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the center, which, I mean, is supposed to be something to help Nigeria solve its energy problems. What is the progress so far? You are the first director. We are still struggling with energy. We are still not able to really utilize solar and other sustainable. Well, why is this? Why is this for a former director of this?
No, it's wrong to say you are not able to utilize it, because we are still utilizing solar energy.
Yes.
In fact, some of us are surprised with the level of commitment to some of the modern governments, maybe because of contract attraction or whatever. But when we started, people in government didn't even want to hear us, except those at the very top who thought that there should be this approach, this research. Our job is to do research, show the way, which we are doing. So we were doing it as best as we could. And we showed the way. But it's beyond us to solve the energy problem of Nigeria. Right now, our problem with energy is not the energy source, but the will to make use of the source. We try to show the people that the government, you attract people, you go to government, state governments, try to get them to do something, and they don't take you seriously. So some of us now, when we sit down back and look at the way some of the state governments are committing money to solar technology, I just laugh. Said, if you had done 1/10 of what you are doing now as government, wouldn't be why we are here. Solar energy has one particular peculiarity. It's not what you can call a concentrated energy source. I hope you understand what I do. Therefore, you don't expect to be able to generate a large-scale power in one location. But that disadvantage is also an advantage, because most of our energy requirements in so many areas is not large-scale. And you can do it by, if you take a local government, you don't even want to cover the whole local government with one source of energy. You can go to one big town or one small town or one village or whatever and provide simple facilities for solar energy which can serve their present needs, which is upgradable. Because if you don't start from the beginning, you can't reach the end. So, just like all other energy sources, we went into wind also. Of course, hydropower is what has been given Nigeria most of its energy before then. But all these things are not properly utilized. There are so much scandalous ways of handling issues. It became just source of enriching some people who are in authority, which is unfortunate. Unfortunate. Some of us were really, really very unhappy with the situation that was happening. But that notwithstanding, the energy matter, we used to tell people, I said, look, this energy, you think that there is another dimension that of course, because you wouldn't know, it's not, there was a time that I went to India for an international solar energy conference. And what happened then? I was still in ABU, in fact. I met some people from the federal ministries. They were there on a different mission, on trade mission or whatever they call it. we met in one hotel, and then when we were discussing, they saw me, of course, I always dressed like a northern Nigerian, wherever I am. We are discussing and so on, and said I was there for solar energy conference. So this one would say, what is your problem? Say, you are the people who are trying to degrade the price of our oil. Say, which oil? Say, you don't have any oil, my friend. You may have oil underground in our country, but it's not ours. How many of the people who are drilling it and taking it away are Nigerians? How can any one of you swear by whatever you believe that you know how much oil is being taken out of our soil and seas? And you are talking about the same people that are promoting this solar energy are the people who are taking your oil. And they know the limitations of oil. One day it will end. It will finish. So this is the culture that we evolved. As a developing nation, we don't have to start thinking big. You can go slowly but surely. Take small areas, give them solar energy, some give them even windy energy, some give them small hydro, because even the hydro, there are about 3 or 4 different categories. There's the big, large-scale one, there's the medium size, there's fairly big, there's the small, miniature hydro, something that can serve a little settlement.
The wind.
And the wind can also do that. So if you have a comprehensive plan for energy, which I stopped even mentioning it in my annual reports or annual conferences when we go to energy conferences and so on and so on, because if people are going to listen, all you need to do is to have a plan where you can be developing from one stage to the next, to the next, and to the next.
Is it that we don't have the plan, or we have not followed it?
No, we don't even have the plan.
Up to now?
I don't think we have a plan. Because if you take your state, the governor or permanent secretary or something will be thinking of giving power to the whole state. Yes, it's good to give power to the whole state, but how do you do it? If you think you are going to sit down, let's take Kano, you sit down in Bebeji or in Gaya and say you are going to prepare energy for the whole of Kano, you are not serious. You are not serious because the requirement is so much. Even the Chalawa, Gorge, and so on and so forth that we have for hydro can only give a few megawatts of electricity. Therefore, a plan means you have a strategy of identifying all your sources where each one has a primary advantage, where the capability is not going to be a serious challenge, and so on and so forth. Gradually, as you do it, you keep on improving it. A plan is, like its name says, it's a plan. It's not a law. But we don't seem to have that. Everybody will just talk and say, no, Nigeria, everybody, by the end of this year, everybody will laugh. Do you want us to cry? That's what the political agenda is. Just make very funny statements. And if you don't have a proper strategic plan, there is no way you can succeed.
Prof, like most academics, you moved on to become Vice Chancellor, which is, I guess, what most academics would say is the height of their career. Is this something that you really wanted yourself, or to go to Yola, then from your at DC, and even eventually to Abuja? Would you consider this something that really capped your career as an academic?
Well, the academic career ends as a professor. That one, the other one is administrative something. Of course, if you are in the area, it will be better. My going to Yola, during the Buhari military administration, he cancelled the something status of 6 universities in the country and attached them to other universities as campuses, which was a good idea. When Babangida took over, he demerged them, to say. And that was when I came in. The then Minister of Education, when the demerger took place, was Jibril Aminu, a Yola man, of course. He had been around. He knows the capability of some of us, and so on and so forth. So just one day, I was asked to go to Lagos.
From Sokoto?
From Sokoto. To go to Lagos, that the minister wants to see me. I said, fine. I went, and after a very, 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 very brief set of greetings, he said, do you know why I call you here? I said, oh, no, I'm not Allah Musuru. I wouldn't know. So this is the situation. We have these universities, the one in Bauchi, the one in Yola, the one in Makurdi, the one in Abeokuta, the one in Mina, and so on and so forth. No, Mina was not actually merged. Which one is that? The one in Owari. And we have to demerge them according to the Mr. President, the military president. I say, fine, go ahead and demerge them. What is my problem there? I say, no, it's not your problem, but I will make it yours. Because you have to go and head one of them. Earlier on, they had set up a committee under Professor Bajoga, of which I was a member. He was then in charge of the what is now called ATBU, to look at the possibility of, said the president wants them demerged, but what is the logistics of doing it? How many of them would be converted to University of Agriculture? How many to remain as technology, and so on? And we wrote out a report. Maybe for that reason, some of our names showed up. And they said, well, I will be going to... Originally, they wanted me to go to Bauchi. I don't know, but then later on, but I don't know what happened. They said Bajoga should remain in Bauchi because the Bauchi campus, which was under ABU then, was being headed by him. So they said, since he knows it well, let him just continue with it. So I was asked to go to Yola. And that's how I found myself in Yola. I can't say no.
And was it fulfilling being Vice Chancellor?
It was challenging. And anything challenging can be very fulfilling. If you are able to stand on your feet and do what you believe should be done. And this is exactly what I did.
What happened when you were brought to Abuja for this 1 year as acting Vice Chancellor? Was that?
That was after I finished my 2 terms in Yola.
Right.
In fact, I was already back into Sokoto, where I belong to. So somehow there was some problem of succession in Abuja. My elder brother, Professor Isa Muhammad Ningi, who had been the vice chancellor then, had his own idea of who should succeed him. The minister, the permanent secretary, the whatever, everybody seemed to have his own idea. So, what happened? I don't know what happened. Somehow, the minister, who was then from Adamawa also, said that I should be called. So I was able to go. In fact, I was coming from Sokoto. I was going home to Ringim. Normally when I come, I stayed in the guest house of the old site, now BUK, when I'm passing through. So I came this time around. I didn't even stay there. I wanted to go to Ringim straight. Just when I was reaching Ringim, I saw one of my friends. I saw his car coming around my house. He said, I've been asked to bring me back to Kano. I said, for what? What have I done? Say, is it because I came from Sokoto and I didn't stay in Kano that I should be brought back to Kano or what? He said, no. It's a directive from the Federal Ministry of Education that you should go to Abuja. So go to Abuja. Said, oh. And say, when? He said, now. He said, that is not possible.
Do you do any physical exercises? Do you move around? Or?
Not much, really, because like I said, the accident, you know, affected me a bit.
Then did you marry that lady whose picture you had in Scotland?
Oh, of course. That's the one that it's something. Then the one that is just outside is the one just after him.
So only one wife all this time?
No, I ventured into, I'm very adventurous. I ventured into polygamy. There was a time I had 3. First of all, from 1 I went to 2. Then from 2 I went to 3. Then I came down to 2. And then later on I went back to 1.
Where you started?
Where I started.
Yes.
And one of the other 2 wives that are no longer with me gave me another son, who is now my youngest child, who is in SS2. And my pleasure now is just to see, my pleasure always, even when I was vice chancellor and so on, I was always interested in seeing that not only my own children, but any children that are close to me, that my friends have not, to see that they make up and become something in life. And I'm happy that in that area I have succeeded.
Thank you, Professor Ahmed Tijjani Suleiman, for this insight into your life. And viewers, thank you for joining us in this edition of Reminiscences. And until another time, goodbye.